The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm Tim Calloway. We have two very special guests for you today from the Axon Group at eXp Realty in beautiful Chi-Town, Chicago, Illinois. We got Michael Scanlon and Jake Fugman. Hey, how are you guys?
Yeah, good. I appreciate you having us.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, Tim. Yeah, thanks a lot. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I know you guys are really busy. A lot of things always going on in Chicago. I love the town, especially the pizza. So whoever wants to start first, both of you have a great story to tell. I'd love to hear both sides of it, how you guys got started in real estate. And really, when I talk to teams, how'd you guys find each other?
Yeah, so it's funny. Jake and I have a very similar past. We kind of have the same timeline. Jake just jumped in about 6 months earlier than I did. So we were both real estate investors before we joined eXp. And, we both started off, kind of similar. I think Jake started single family. I started single family investing as well, and got my license to just do my own deals. Did not think that I was going to become a realtor. And so I got my license in 2019. eXp is my first and only brokerage, and I joined in late 2019, still with the mindset of like, I'm only going to do my own deals. And even when I got, set up with the people that sponsored me, I told them, nah, this is not what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do my own deals. So don't worry about it. And, then all of a sudden one deal comes up for, a friend of my mom's. And so I work that. Meanwhile, I'm buying another place for myself. And it was such an easy deal to work that I decided to try and do a couple more, and did 3 deals in my first 6 months as an agent. And then from there, I ended up doing 29 more throughout the rest of that year. And then in the following 12 months, did 101 deals. I just decided, hey, this is, something that I can make some money at, and that there's a niche for investor-friendly agents that can actually speak the language. I've had so many conversations with other agents that don't know the math. They don't understand how to analyze properties. They don't understand properties at all, and what the component parts are. And so, I'm fortunate. I've got a background in business, as does Jake. I've got my MBA. And so I speak the language of finance. I can analyze properties. I can, we go really deep in our analysis. We bring in net present value calculations. We bring in a lot of, internal rate of return, every financial metric that you would find in other parts of finance. We bring that in and try and give a holistic picture to our investors. And then, beyond that, I think it's just, we're people, we're good with people. And so we've been able to, really carve out a niche of working with investors and knowing how to help them in ways that other agents couldn't. And so we've really, taken off in that regard.
Nice. Jake, anything from you on that, or ditto, or?
Yeah, definitely. Like Mike said, we were both kind of investors before we were agents. And so I personally loved eXp specifically because it allowed me to have a low cost and low barrier to entry. No one was going to be breathing down my neck, to do a certain amount of sales. So I wanted something where I could self-brand, because I was super cool and I had my own LLC, and I wanted to, say, oh, this is my property company, and grow from there and have my license on the side. So eXp was, that's how I found eXp, right? It was like very lax, do your own thing, but, get out what you put in. If you want a lot out, you can get it. You just have to put in the time and energy. And I was like, well, we'll see how it goes. And similar to Mike's story, I I started doing some of my own deals and going to these real estate meetups, whether it be multifamily, single family, you know, investor focused things. And I was asking around because I didn't necessarily even want to represent myself. I just wanted kind of access to the MLS. And
Right.
I found that there was just a huge gap in between residential and commercial, right? So who do I go to help me, you know, acquire a couple turnkey rentals? How do I find some fix and flips? How do I find these 2 to 4 unit, what we call, you know, house hack, live in, you know, entry level type investments? And I just helped myself. And then eventually I started introducing myself as a realtor slash investor instead of investor slash realtor.
Right.
And it grew from there. So I think today, Mike and I have 22 agents on the team between Chicago and Indianapolis. And most all those agents have a similar type of mindset, right? They come from a, you know, financial independence, retire early type of, you know, motivation, or they're an entry level investor or someone doing, you know, what we call house hacking and living in a condo and renting out a couple of bedrooms to friends, or living in a multifamily building and mitigating their mortgage. And we love talking to those people, and it's easy for us to talk to those type of clients and friends and family because we did it before. So we were able to hit the ground running.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love what you said, Jake, about how you went from calling yourself an investor realtor to a realtor investor. I was talking to another EXP agent. I don't know, a couple of days ago. I don't know if you guys even know who he is. Probably not. Robert Weichelt out of San Diego. And he goes, you know, it's funny, when I first started, you know, people would ask, what do you do? And I kind of, you know, you want to give them your elevator pitch, right? You want to tell them all about yourself in under a minute. And he would just, when he first started out, he would hear so many people go, I'm a realtor, you know, kind of shrug and put their head down like it was, you know, I kill people, you know, or whatever, you know. It's like, I'm ashamed of it. And there's no reason. I mean, you're talking about, especially in the XP, where, you know, you have some of the most knowledgeable people in the industry, and you can be whatever you want, you know. Whereas I know from experience, from working on Wall Street for a while in REITs, real estate investment trust, and then, you know, with retail brokerage, you can't be whatever you want. You know, you are. So to be an investor, to be able to be an investor and be a realtor, and then just, you know, transition, I think is awesome, because the tools are there for sure. So we know how you guys got started, right? So let's talk about today. You do a lot of investing. Do you look for investors, or are you on the you know, on the prowl for investors for properties, or is it just a solopreneur mindset on your investing?
You know, so from our personal standpoint of how we invest, you know, we both take slightly, you know, different approaches. I know Jake can expound upon this, but I think he's looked into a couple of, you know, potentially larger deals where he partners with people. So far, I've just done my own investing. You know, I am taking the approach of, you know, buying properties that are more turnkey and hoping to get some cash flow, obviously. But, you know, since everything, you know, took off with the interest rates in terms of being low in early 2020, business has been good. You know, obviously we've done well. The entire, you know, housing market, you know, went crazy. And if you had leads, you made sales. And so I've tried to put a lot of that money back into buying properties, and then needing to do things to, you know, mitigate some of my taxable gains. And so, you know, this year I'm going to do a cost segregation study on 4 of my properties, and just try to, you know, pay as little as I can in a completely legal way. And that I've wanted to kind of do on my own. I'm not ruling out the potential to, you know, partner with people in the future and, you know, scale in that regard. But for now, I have just taken the approach of just cornering my own investments and just keeping them just me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we try, and at least at the beginning, I tried to do a wide variety of deals so I could speak, you know, with experience to my clients, because they react so well when you have direct experience to the exact same thing they're doing. If you can tell a story about, an Airbnb condo or, some development deal you did, and that's what they're looking to do, you have instant credibility versus just trying to be a sales agent. Like you said, like, oh yeah, I'll represent you, I'm an agent, kind of
Right.
shying away. Like it's much more of a, wow, you did that too. Or, you tell them your success stories, but not only success stories, like what you learned along the way, because anybody can sit here and tell you how great they are and how awesome some of their investments did. But what people really want to hear is like, what did you do wrong? And you're like, and how can I learn from that?
Right.
Because if you're just telling success stories, like, it's great. They're just always going to come at you with a little bit of skepticism. So for me, I'm always looking to stay diverse, or at least have experience with a diverse amount of like investors, so we can not have to say no to anybody, but in that regard, we find our leads through investment forums. We do talks. We go to meetups. There are a certain amount of like websites, and there's not that many in the, in this space that kind of speak the same language. Bigger Pockets is a big one. A few other ones that people might have heard of. So, we try to stay relevant and kind of give information away for free and not be super salesy in that regard, and be a little bit more collaborative, and that, the business just kind of comes to you, at least in Chicago.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with both of you. Obviously, that's kind of the mantra, I think, of EXP to an extent. I know I kind of figured out in life the day I woke up and I had the four others mentality that, everything really changed for me. I didn't chase the dollar. I really chased people who needed help, and when I think when you do that, things just really by fruition start happening, right? Good things start happening.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that that's something that, like Jake said, we've tried to do, and it's given us exponential returns. One of the things that, I've consistently done is when I see, EXP, for anyone that's not in EXP, we have an internal workplace chat group that's basically like a Facebook, but just for EXP agents. And whenever anybody has a question about investing, about commercial, I answer it. I reach out to them. I say, hey, this is how you do it. And a lot of agents, they don't want to work with investors. They don't want to do commercial. And so me answering their question even just reaffirms the fact that they don't want to do it. And then they reach back out and they say, hey, can you just help with this client? Can you take this client? We've picked up 5 commercial clients in the last week and a half, just from people that reached out independently and said, hey, I don't want to work with this client. I don't feel prepared. And I even offer, hey, do you want to work it with us so that you can learn the process? And some of them say yes, and some of them say no. But that all comes from, I have no expectation that that's going to come back around, but I want to help other agents out. And down the line, there's 2 things that are going to happen. Either they're going to just say, hey, I'm not comfortable working with investors. I'm not comfortable working with commercial clients, or we're going to teach them to become comfortable with that. And then they're going to come back to us and they're going to say, hey, I've got this deal. Do you have buyers for it? Or, I've got this buyer. Do you guys have any listings, that would be a good fit for this buyer? And we're all going to grow together. And so that has been an absolute crux of our business.
Yeah, that's awesome. Being the authority in something really has its advantages, right? I mean, because so many, and I'll say, in my opinion, real estate is a large swath of different things. And rarely does one person know everything, and nor should they, maybe, jack of all trades, master of none mentality. So yeah, to be an authority is something, and be able to share that with others. Heck, I may come to you guys and say, hey, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So, I think it's great. So we talked about how you guys got started, obviously talked about kind of what you're doing now on the investment side and the real estate side, listing side. So if I came to you guys, came and visited, and and you said, hey, let's go see the Bean, and I said, no, I've seen the Bean, but let's talk about how I can help you guys. And what problems, and I don't even like calling them problems. I always say problems because it's an easy word. What challenges do you have on a day-to-day that maybe I could solve if I had a magic wand and I could just fix anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the most humbling thing about, real estate is that there's so many different ways to succeed. And we've been successful by cornering one niche, and there are just so many avenues that we have not unlocked, that we don't know how to unlock. And that's one of the things that I find pretty incredible is when we go to things like EXPCon and we go to shareholders and we meet these other, icon agents, and we're like, how did your team do, 200 deals last year?
Right.
And it has nothing to do with what we're doing. And they say things like, oh, we're all social media based. And
Yeah.
Jake and I are not. We're not very good at that. We're trying. We have an admin who does posts for us, but that is not our strong point. We don't have a TikTok yet. We're not, dancing on TikTok or YouTube.
Let me show you how, fellas. No, either am I.
That's what I was getting at. I figured you would be the proper person to teach us how to do these dances.
Did I mention I had sons in their 20s that probably could do that a heck of a lot better than this guy, for sure.
Yeah, well, I'll have to go back down to the U and visit them.
Right. Hey, they'll take you, man. They definitely.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many different avenues that we don't know. We are very good at short sales. That is something that we do well.
Nice.
We don't have many connections in probate. We don't, deal with, we don't currently have any real connections to, divorce attorneys. There's just so many different things that we're not doing that we could be unlocking. And I think that that's one of the beauties of, meeting people like you, meeting other icons is, kind of leveraging their experience and giving back, and saying, this is how we do this, and, us all growing together. And I'm sure Jake knows a lot more things that we don't know, and could expound upon this.
Yeah, let's hear it, man.
Yeah, I'd say, how do we do bigger deals quicker, right? I think for Mike and I, if we could wave a magic wand, we do the same amount of deals or less deals, but double the revenue, right?
Yes.
So we're always keeping that in mind. And if someone could come flip a switch or wave a magic wand and, say all your deals were now twice the size what they were, that would be amazing, right? It's easier, to say than to do. But for us, and I think everyone's got to keep that in the back of their mind, how do they work smarter, not harder type of a thing. I think Mike and I are both really hard workers. We get out what we put in, right? So we put in a lot of, blood, sweat, and tears with our clients, and we give them a lot of direct consulting. What we don't do is that, we're not on TikTok a lot. We're not on social media. So we pick up one with the other. And like you said, we're not trying to be a jack of all trades, but
right,
as long as we're bringing value, people will keep coming back. But in the back of our minds, we're thinking about how do we get into those bigger deals? How do we kind of spread our time among the team and let them take the $500,000 or $600,000 deal that we thought was big, 2 years ago, but now is maybe average. So if we can keep like upgrading there, sky's the limit, right? So, we're trying to not have any limiting thoughts in that regards.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's sage advice, man. I love that. Yeah. So let me ask you guys. I'm gonna put our prognostication hats on real quick. Not quite a curveball, and I'd love to hear both your takes on it. Where do you guys see Axon in the next year, 3 years, 5 years? What's the 1-year goal, the midterm, and then maybe what's the end game?
Yeah, so this is actually pretty relevant to, we've even had calls this week. So we know how to get leads. That's something that we are good at, especially in the investor, focused arena. And we have a lot of personal connections in that. And that is something that, we've tried to, leverage as much as we can. I talk to everyone. Jake has so many connections in the investing world. I just make connections with everyone. I try to be nice to everyone I ever meet in my entire life, and a lot of it comes back around. And so, because we know how to, get leads, and we've proven that our model works here in Chicago, we've just partnered with someone who's going to lead a branch of our team in Indianapolis, and we've got a couple of agents down there. I'm licensed now, which I did earlier this year, in Florida, and I'm a member of the Greater Tampa Association of Realtors, and we haven't opened, a branch of our team there, but that's, in the works, and it's something that we plan to do as long as, Indianapolis works as a proven model. And then, after that is probably somewhere like Atlanta. And then from there, we'll kind of reevaluate. If we get those markets up and running and everything is going the way that it's gone in Chicago in these additional markets, we want to start to get into every, investor friendly market that there is, your Kansas Cities, your,
Right.
Columbus, Ohio. There's so many little areas that people like to invest for a variety of reasons, whether it's, Airbnb, whether it's cash flow, whether it's, appreciating markets. And we want to grow the team and grow together. There's so many agents on our team that have seen a ton of benefit from the leads that we've been able to give them. And then we're very appreciative that they're able to work them, because there are 10, 20 times as many leads as Jake and I could ever work together.
Yeah,
And
that's awesome.
we just want to bring that to other markets. And obviously there's benefit for us, but there's a lot of, agents that are in these markets that need leads and need the guidance of, what we've been able to uncover here in Chicago.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'd add to that too. I think specifically with EXP, the opportunity is different than any other brokerage because of this new commercial division. So for us, I'll reiterate the bigger deal, goal, right? And the fact that EXP now has some tools to be able to advertise and play ball with some big names, Marcus Millichap, stuff like you would never think you were able to either recruit agents from or even kind of dive into. And the nice part is the model doesn't really change, too much if you make that switch. So I think that's in the back of our minds. Mike and I do commercial deals now, whether or not, we're supposed to be doing so many of them based on our E&O insurance in Illinois, then is TBD. But I think there's so much opportunity on the commercial side. Again, whether that could just be personal sales or recruiting, because the splits in the commercial world for a lot of these listing agents we're talking to are super old school, right? They don't know any better. A lot of these commercial agents don't come from a residential then to commercial model. They come from they were in banking or finance and they jump into commercial real estate. So they're like, oh, 60-40, great. This is what I get. Well, let's have a talk about that. So I think that's something on our radar as well.
That's awesome. I like to hear that. So before I get into my last question, we're kind of winding down here. How would anyone get in touch with either one of you, either in Chicago or Indiana, or just as a group? What's the best way to get in touch with you guys?
I mean, we have, our group email. So info@theaxongroup.com. Fellow EXP agents can always, reach out to us on Workplace. If anybody has ever reached out to me, they know that I typically reply within about, 45 seconds. It's a good and a bad thing. I'm
looking at it.
I know, right?
Come on.
I'm glued to my phone, and it's something that people appreciate. I need to work on personally, but it is what it is. I'm very responsive, and it's one of the reasons that I've been successful. So yeah, email, Workplace, those are some good avenues, and then we are typically very responsive.
Awesome. I guess the same.
Yeah, and the website's the same as the email domain, just the axongroup.com, and you'll find us eventually.
Okay. Fantastic. Now I'm going to give both of you an opportunity here. I always like to do this at the end of the show. Generally there's something that we haven't covered. I always give them the last minute or two. Each of you take the time you need to kind of talk about whatever's on your heart, your mind, your soul. And it could be, it could be college football. It could be business. It could be your spouse or your best friend, just whatever you feel like people need to hear. Either one of you start when you're ready.
Yeah, I like that. And, I think what I'll say is that I grew up on the south side of Chicago, very lower middle class area. And I have, gotten to a point where my net worth is, at this point, probably 7 times my dad, and my parents didn't real estate invest. My best friend, his dad was an electrician and his mom was a stay-at-home mom. And I got him into real estate investing, and now he's got, a net worth that is, 7 figures. And so
awesome.
I think for all of the agents out there, get involved in investing. There's ways that you can do it for so little or even zero money. If you're getting paid your own commission on something like an FHA deal, and it's life changing. You know, there's challenges with it. You know, you're not gonna, it's not gonna be easy. I got 3 texts from, you know, tenants yesterday. But long term, I don't think you're gonna regret it. And it's gonna be something that changes your life, and it allows you to focus more on family and focus more on what you want to do with your life.
Jake?
Yeah, I'm going to circle back to just being in a niche situation, whatever that is. You know, you can apply it to any type of sales or value add industry or, consultative industry, but, be in a situation where you can add unique value, where others really can't. And it's always going to come back to you, and especially in real estate, set yourself up to kind of give your time away for free in the beginning. Because if you can't do that, or people sense that you're always chasing a sale or always chasing commission, it's going to kind of catch up to you. So I always preach that to our agents and things like that. Add value in the beginning, be consultative, because it pays long-term dividends. So, without giving people like an exact road mapping, for us, we try to really show our guys and girls like the path to go from, like Mike said, like 0 sales to 200 in only 3.5 years, right? Like it's very doable. And him and I had no real estate experience. This is both of us, this is our first shop. So we're not just talking the talk. We're still doing deals. We're not recruiting all day. Like, maybe someday, maybe that'll change for us. But for now, like, be an example. It's just so much easier to kind of sell that process. So I'll give that as kind of my parting words, if you will.
Yeah, good stuff from both of you guys. And I really appreciate you guys being on the show. I know you're busy. Good stuff. I think anybody in either area who, needs to know a little bit about investing, you guys would be a good group to talk to. So definitely hit them up. They're not going to be on TikTok dancing, so don't look there. But guys, thanks so much for being on the show. I look forward to catching up with you guys next 3, 6, 9 months, or the next time you're down in Miami, either one of you. Look me up and let's get together and have a cold daddy or something like that. Guys, thanks so much.
Thank you, Tim. We really appreciate
Thank you.
it.
All right. Have a great week.
Yep.